Recently, I posted a video about how sometimes I struggle to muster the energy to interact with strangers because I enjoy my peace so much. I enjoy time by myself. I enjoy the dreamscape within my head full of symbols and ideas that are meaningful to me personally. I enjoy being away from the world, the craziness, the deceit, the lies, all of the wild stuff you see in the inner city, but even your typical neighborhood here in America or even abroad. I enjoy it so much, and I understand the value of protecting that peace, making sure that it does not become infected by all of these outside influences, because at a certain point it becomes incredibly hard to rid yourself of the viruses that are plaguing your soul, plaguing your spirit. But as I was scrolling through the comments, I saw most people agreed with me. However, they took it a step further than I would personally take it. And I want to address that in this video because whenever I scrolled through the comments, I saw that a lot of people didn't just acknowledge how crazy the world is, didn't just acknowledge how many things are going on, how nice it is to sit inside and read a quiet book or have a cup of coffee, have a cup of tea by the windowsill, how nice it is to take a walk through the park where you don't have to hear all of the hustle and bustle, all that meh, all the EMTs, all the paramedics. You can simply listen to the birds, listen to the wind, listen to the lake, the river, whatever. They didn't just take it there. They took it a step further. And a lot of people in the comments were saying that every person in society is crazy. Every person in society is a manipulator. Every person in society is a narcissist. Every person in society has nothing to give them. As in, they have no good ideas. They have no good energy. They have nothing of value whatsoever as human beings. Now, first and foremost, this is a very destructive way to view people because you run the risk of going down the slippery slope of dehumanizing. And if I have to explain that, perhaps this is not the video for you, because it is clear as day to me that if you start seeing everybody as someone who cannot provide you anything, does not have any good ideas, does not have any good energy, does not have any sort of spirit or creativity, is solely a manipulator, a psychopath, etc., you're going to dehumanize them. And when you look across the world, you can see that same slippery slope fallacy occurring in the minds of so many people, and how many deaths, how many bad circumstances could be prevented if people were to just see people as people, at least give them a chance, at least be hopeful that there's something there, even if there isn't, even if you strike out a bunch, because even the best hitters in baseball, 333, a 33% batting average is going to be an exceptional average. And in day-to-day life, you're not going to find that many people. You might only hit 1 for 10. You might hit over 10 and then maybe find 2 in a row, but then strike out another 20 times. It's just like in sales, it's a numbers game. There are very few exceptional people, but if you give on hope on everyone, then you shut the door permanently. And you run the risk of having that door locked without your consent. Because yes, you may have shut it, but you may have wanted to be able to open it up later on down the line if somebody came along that really surprised you, really gave you something great. But time has a tendency to lock doors without you noticing. And then by the time you get up to open it, you don't know where the key is and you can't budge it open. You're not strong enough. You're too weak. There's a passage that Friedrich Nietzsche wrote where he said that he went to get up, but his legs were too weak. He couldn't stand. And it was this idea that you have to pursue your greatness. You have to pursue being an individual, pursue creating your own meaning. You have to do that now. You have to have urgency, because if you don't get up now and do it, eventually you will wake up and you will not have the strength to muster to get your legs up and moving. It's the same way here. If you give up on people entirely, if you paint a broad brush, if you shut that door, it may lock without your consent. But the second thing is that even though solitude is amazing, even though protecting your peace is amazing, even though being by yourself is incredible, the ability to reflect, the ability to imagine, the ability to see things in your mind's eye without any sort of influence, any taint from the outside world, it's incredible. It's super valuable, and you need to make that space. You run the risk, if you spend too much time by yourself, of going crazy. And yes, I mean crazy, because my definition of crazy for the purposes of this video is not getting feedback, is not having any outside influence. Because as a human being, you need it. If you don't have outside influence, if you're not getting feedback from the environment, from other people, from the marketplace, from the world at large, You are simply going to be in a bubble of your own delusions. And those delusions are going to get grander and grander and grander. You are going to fabricate so many things that are going to lead to your utter destruction. You will find yourself going mad. This is where neuroses really takes a bad turn, because when you have nobody to gauge how good you are at a sport, you don't know until you test yourself. If I were to simply train basketball every day, shoot jumpers, work on my handle, etc., and never play anybody, I could think I was really good because I was making it on no defenders. I was pulling off all these moves on an open court. But then I go into a game and I get humbled by somebody who's way better than me, perhaps a D3, D2, D1 athlete who jumps out of the gym, who's trained for years, who is a phonetic person, who really just gets after it, who is a wild athlete. That would humble me. But if I never played that person, if I never tested myself, I would never know. Just like as an artist, you have to put out your art in order to figure out what the marketplace wants. What are the tastes of the people? How can you mold your art to better suit that taste while also remaining authentic and original? You don't know unless you put it out. If you just have all these songs in your head, that's great. You may think they're amazing, but if you don't put them out, it doesn't matter because you'll never get the feedback from the marketplace. And the marketplace is where people buy your stuff. So you'll never make a career as an artist if you don't get that feedback. It's just like as a person. If you're not interacting with people, if you're not communicating with people, if you're not actually building relationships with people, whether they're short-term, long-term, or transactional, you're not going to understand what it takes to be a person in society. You're going to forget how to socialize. You're going to forget that in order to be a contributor in society, in order to live a full life, you have to get feedback from other people. How am I acting that people don't like? What am I saying that people are turned off by? What am I saying that people are turned on by? Sexually and non-sexually. All of these things go into it. And so, of course, spend your time alone. Maintain your peace. Make sure that you don't get corrupted by all of these wild influences, these wicked influences in the world. Absolutely. But remember that if you spend too much time in isolation, you run the risk of going absolutely mad, absolutely loony. And unless that's what you want, which is fine, that's up to you, it's your choice, it's your life, then I hate to say I would suggest, because this is not advice, this is just me spitballing, but I would say get out a little bit. Interact with people. Get some feedback. Because without feedback, you can't grow, you can't gauge yourself, and quite frankly, you can't have meaning without other people. Because without other people in the world, your personal meaning cannot mean anything. You do not exist in a vacuum. Your personal meaning only has value to the extent at which you can compare it to other people's meanings, to the meanings of the ancients, to the meanings of potential futures, to the meanings of X, Y, Z. You need that feedback. So get out and interact with some people. I know it sucks. I know it's difficult. It may be something that is very uncomfortable for you, but I bet you might even grow to like it, or at least be able to tolerate it. And all of these things can have ripple effects that can lead to a much better life. So with that being said, let me know what you think about this in the comments. Go watch that other video if you want more context. I'll put a link in the description, and I'll see you in the next one. Much love, peace. This is the new Da Vinci.